Good morning. Hello, hello, hello. How are we today? I'm so excited to have you here, and I am so looking forward to diving into today's topic. I know that many of you probably struggle with this very topic today, as do many of my clients. So I'm here to give you some help. All right, folks. Who am I? For anybody who doesn't know who I am yet, I am Karen. I am the Plant Power Coach. You can find me as the Plant Power Coach on all my socials. Welcome to my Facebook group, Plant Based Weight Loss Support. If you're watching the replay on YouTube, hi, nice to have you here. I am a plant-based weight loss coach. And so I help people transform their health, their weight, and their life through the power of a plant-based diet and also adopting healthy habits and a solid mindset and relationship with themselves in order to achieve their goals. And obviously this is my Facebook group, Plant-Based Weight Loss Support. So if you are watching on YouTube, watching the replay, please make sure you come and join us. This is where all the fun happens. There's all sorts of resources and recipes and fun things going on here. So come on and join us. And today we are talking about your relationship with the scale and the number on that scale. And if you saw the pre-work up to this live, you will know that I have a special gift for you if you decide to stay till the end. All right, so stick with me. So what do I mean by your relationship to the scale? It's how you think about the scale. It's how you feel about the scale. It's whether you have fear getting on that scale or not, whether you feel confident getting on that scale or not. And it's whether the scale has the power over you to affect your mindset, how you think, your emotions or your emotional response to what it's saying to you, and then your actions. Now, the reason it is so important for you to strengthen your relationship to that scale is that you want to be in charge at all times, regardless of what that number is saying to you. So let me tell you a story. I know there are a few of you who wanted to watch this today, so I'm making sure that you've all seen it here live. Okay, so let me tell you a bit of a story. And you may be able to relate to this. So if my client recognizes her story, as I'm sure she will, because she said she was going to watch this today. So I was going to reach out to you and just let you know I was going to tell you a story, but I'm telling this story because I think it's very, very relatable to a lot of people, but it's very, very powerful as well. It's a very powerful teaching moment. So she had a very interesting moment last week. We had been working together for 2 weeks. So this would be her third week to this week. So for 2 weeks. And prior to working with me, she had been through a phase where she would lose a few pounds and then put those pounds back on, lose a few pounds and put those pounds back on again. So she wasn't really making progress. Now, it is very normal for the scale to never be. Here she is. Hi, Margaret. It's very normal for the scale just to not go down in a linear fashion. It is normal for it to go up and down, okay? So, but what was happening with my client is it was going up and down and not actually, those highs were not going any lower and those lows weren't coming any lower either. So she was literally going like this. And I then discovered that she was weighing herself daily. And she was looking at that scale on a daily basis and hoping to see the effects of the changes that she had been making each day. Now that seems like reasonable, right? You would think that if you've adopted some new dietary patterns, some new healthy habits, that you should start seeing results every single day. But here's the problem with that. The human body, and in particular the female body, on average can lose about 1 pound of body fat per week. So that's just under half a kilo. We need to, in order to achieve that, we need to be eating around 3,500 calories less than our body actually requires, or that we might have been eating currently to achieve that 1 pound of body fat drop. If we split that 1 pound over 7 days, the actual number is actually quite minute that we see on the scale. So it's not likely that every day we're going to see that much movement on the scale. Also, as I said, it's very normal and very natural for the scale to fluctuate day to day. This is normal. It all depends on the amount of food that we have in our body, the amount of hydration, the water that we're carrying in our body. If we haven't slept, if we have done some exercise, we might be a little more inflamed than we were. If we've got, if we're tired, or if we've got a cold, or if we're sick, we might be a little bit more inflamed. What you're seeing on the scale does not necessarily tell you what's happening with your body fat. And we don't necessarily just lose like an even same amount of body fat every single day. Oftentimes what happens is the body needs to feel safe in order to be able to release some body fat. So there's all sorts of different things going on in our body at any one time. So if we're looking at the scale on a daily basis, we're not really seeing a true picture of what is going on. And that number, that change, is going to be so minute anyway. So essentially my clients' kind of expectations were of what she wanted to see were unrealistic and not really aligned with what was truly possible or, with reality. And so I discovered that, last week she was weighing herself every day. And she had one day, I think it was, where the scale went up a pound. Now, as I said before, for the scale to go up a pound, that's 3,500 extra calories that your body does not need, that it then stores for later use. So that 1 pound going up, there's no way she could have eaten another 3,500 calories on top of what her body needed to be able to store 1 pound of body fat. So instead, that number could have been the extra water that we've had her drinking. So she could have been more hydrated. She could be just eating more volume of food in general. She might have had more food in transit than the day before, depending on where your digestion's at. And so we don't really know what that number means, what that 1 pound up overnight means. But she saw that scale go up by 1 pound, panicked, right? She didn't consider that, fluctuations are normal, that it can't possibly be body fat because, I didn't eat 3,500 calories more than I needed yesterday, like my stomach. And if I did, then hell, it might just be a lot more food in my body. She didn't consider that it could be some healthy weight, some water weight. So she panicked, and her immediate thought patterns were to go back to, this isn't working. I can't do this. I'm failing. Right? And as a result of those negative thoughts, she felt frustrated, upset, angry, demotivated. And the action that she wanted to take as a result of feeling that way was essentially to throw in the towel, buy a bottle of wine, get some cheese, and just eat it all anyway because screw it, I can't do it, which was the pattern that she had been in prior to us working together. All because that scale went up from one day before. But what she actually failed to see was the truth that was actually right in front of her, was that she was actually succeeding because she was down 6.5 pounds since we'd started working together. I don't know if she's watching. She'll be recognizing the story. I'm not sure if you caught before I saw you hop on, but I just thought this story is a perfect teaching moment because many people will recognize what is going on here in their own journey. So I'm just using your story as a teaching moment, my friend. Now, She's 6.5 pounds down, yet her brain wanted to tell her she was failing. And because she was focused on that belief and the story that she'd been telling herself that she couldn't do it, that she wasn't capable, she actually just missed the total truth. And that was that she was succeeding. She was actually having great success, massive success. In fact, she was smashing it. Some of that weight, some of that 6.5 pounds loss would have been probably inflammation. It wouldn't have all been body fat necessarily, but it would have been some unhealthy weight that she's shedding that she just doesn't need. All right. So I'm glad that she decided not to buy the wine and the cheese. And that's because now that she's working with me, she'd actually made the promise to herself that she was going to not continue to have that habit. She was going to drop that habit. And I'm so glad that she did too, because, if she hadn't been working with me and she, hadn't made, that, I guess, that big commitment to working with somebody, that financial commitment to herself to change her results, she would have bought their wine, she would have bought the cheese, and then she would have lost that progress that she'd made. And then she would have stayed in that cycle of creating the result that was aligning to the belief that she had that she couldn't achieve her goal. Right? What she believed was completely counter to the actual truth of what was in front of her. And I had to point that out to her. I had to point out her success that she'd missed. And honestly, guys, this is why having a coach is so powerful, because we are all locked into our stories and our beliefs and what we think is possible for us. And what we do is we go and create that result based on what we believe is possible. I'm not locked into your beliefs. I have totally different beliefs to you, and I can actually see the truth staring at you when you can't, because your beliefs are stopping you from seeing it. Now, let me tell you another story. This is another client from a couple of years ago. She actually lost 30 pounds over 6 months. And we set a goal for her first 12 weeks. And that goal for her first 12 weeks was 15 pounds. And she was marking her progress on her tracker every single week. And at the 4-week mark, the tracker told her, 1 month in, that she'd lost 7 pounds. Now, she looked at that result, and her brain immediately told her, well, that's not good enough. Should have been more than that. You're failing. And guess how she felt when she told herself that? She felt demotivated. She felt disempowered. She felt flat. She felt frustrated. Until I pointed out to her that her 12-week goal was 15 pounds. And after 4 weeks, just a third of the way there, she was already almost halfway to her goal in a third of the time. Now that truth, that reality hadn't even hit home to her. It was glaringly obvious to me. But she was stuck in the belief that she was failing, that she wasn't doing good enough, that result wasn't high enough, right? And when I pointed out the obvious truth that she was halfway to her result in a third of the time, oh my God, it changed her energy, right? She went from being flat and frustrated to then excited and motivated. She shifted the story of I'm failing to, oh shit, I'm succeeding. This is possible. Oh my God, I'm going to get there. If you want to hear the interview I did with her, you can go back and look at the client interviews and Lisa G. Lisa G is the client I'm talking about. So you'll hear her talking about this in the interview. So she went from, oh my God, I'm failing, to I'm succeeding, and wanting to increase her target for her 12-week goal. So what I'm here to point out to you is that your brain isn't always telling you the truth. And if you believe that you can't achieve the result, if you believe that you're failing, you are going to see that no matter what the scale is telling you. And if you're telling yourself you're failing, you're going to feel terrible, you're going to feel demotivated, you're going to feel frustrated. And as a result of feeling that way, you're more likely going to chuck in the towel, quit, do some bullshit eating, right? Do the things that actually keep you stuck in that story that you are failing, that that you can't do this. We don't make decisions, great decisions, from a place of feeling demotivated and frustrated. We don't double down at that point, and we don't go back and look at our data and say, oh my goodness, what's going on? Let's get to the bottom of this. No, we generally quit. And we tell more stories, terrible stories about, how nothing's working. I've tried everything. Nothing's working. Or I might as well quit because, this is hard and I'm failing. You just want some relief from the bullshit stories that you keep telling yourself. That's why quitting feels better in the moment. And what happens when we quit is we actually create the very result that aligns with the belief that we can't do this and that we're failing. So if this is resonating with you, then your work is to strengthen your relationship with that scale and the number on it. And I want to point out to you that the number on the scale doesn't mean anything until you assign it a meaning. Your work is to manage your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions external to what that number says. You want to decide before you get on that scale what you are going to think, what you are going to do, what you're going to feel, regardless of what that number says. The number is just data. We want to take away all the emotion and the shitty thinking about it. I want you to act like, achieving this goal is like your business and you're looking at business data. So think about, how businesses operate with regards to their numbers. If a business has a less than desirable number that they're looking about, they don't necessarily get all emotional and cranky and throw in the towel and quit. They're just going to look at the numbers. And they are going to look at their data. What have they been producing that has been producing this number? And they're going to start to look for opportunity. They're going to look to start to see what might need to change in order to improve that number and achieve the number that they want. And this is how you need to look at that too, just as data. And I highly recommend that you track all of your data, so that you're making decisions based on data and not the drama and the stories that your head is telling you, right? Our thoughts are not necessarily always true. Our thoughts just align with the things that we've been, like the beliefs that we've been telling ourselves over and over and over and over and over all our life. They're not necessarily based in reality. So what I want you to do is look at, okay, like an equation, this food, this movement, this water, this sleep, this stress management combination in as data in, like into your body, into your life, equals this number on the scale out, right? And then you go, okay, is there anything in the input data that might need to change to create a different output? So if you're tracking all your data, so your food, your daily habits, you don't need to go into MyFitnessPal and put in all your stuff like that. You don't necessarily do that. But if you are tracking what you eat, your daily habits, and then you can make a logical assessment of the data rather than relying on memory, right? Our brain is not always telling us the truth. Our memories are sorted out when we sleep to, align with what we already believe. So, and we we always want to believe that we're doing the best for ourselves. So we're always going to, remember things that way, whereas the data doesn't lie. Right? So even if you believe that you've been doing everything perfectly, you will actually know it if you've been tracking. You also know it, if it's actually you're just telling yourself that when the data tells you, oh, whoops, no, we haven't, there's some opportunity to move. So the amount of people I speak to who actually say, I'm doing everything perfectly and nothing's working, yet they cannot produce the data for me to look at so that I can actually make some recommendations as to where they can change. I'd rather be working with data, hard data, than memory. Doing everything perfectly is only belief. It's not necessarily the truth unless you have all the data to prove it. And how do I know it's not true? It's because you're not getting the result, right? So before we go on, I want to tell you another story that just came up for me recently too. Here's something else that can also happen as a result of getting on the scale. You start to see wins on the scale. So another client of mine has been floating between 180, 190 pounds. This range. She'll come down, she'll go up, she'll come down, she'll go up. Yes, there's been patterns of emotional eating and using food as a way to numb her emotions. So we've been working on a lot of that. And now she's actually starting to see some progress on the scale. She wanted to crack that 180. That's the first goal, and she's so close. And she messaged me the other day so excited. I think she got to about 180.2. 180.2, so she's so close. And guess where her brain wanted to go when it saw that number? Let's go and celebrate. Oh, yay! Let's go and celebrate, not by doing something that is not by telling yourself nice words, not by doing something or buying herself something as a like a nice little gift for herself. No, she wanted to go celebrate with food. I bet it won't be nice whole food plant-based food either. Knowing my client, it will be a pizza, ice cream, cookies. And none of it whole food plant-based either, by the way, right? So this is another pattern that people fall into, is starting to see progress and saying, oh, I've been doing so well, I deserve a reward, I deserve a treat. I deserve to screw up on my progress is what I deserve. I deserve to stay within this range that I'm trying to break out of because I believe I can't do this. This is probably more likely what's going on for my client. There's still this belief inside that she can't do it, which we're also working on. So her brain is actually trying to trip her up and keep her in her comfortable weight zone. She's actually starting to get uncomfortable by the time she gets to her goal because she's having to do things differently. And this is what happens to us when we have to do things differently, things that are not yet automatic habit. Our brain starts to get uncomfortable. It's like, can we just go back to what was easy and what we know? We also start to feel a little bit uncomfortable in our body when we start to release the weight. Some people start to feel really uncomfortable when things start changing and clothes start fitting properly. It's like, hang on, this is not me. This isn't who I am. They don't consciously think this. This is the subconscious talking. And so they'll do things to either knowingly or unknowingly sabotage. Right? So that's another thing to watch out for, reward eating because you've been so good. That's another thing that can happen when you see that number on the scale. So here's the takeout, my friends. What's your shitty thinking and your limiting beliefs around whether you can or can't achieve your result? I guess shitty thinking and limiting beliefs is more around can't achieve the result, not can. So watch for all the thinking in here that is telling you that you cannot do this. It's incorrect. You're not looking at a result and deciding to have that thought. You're producing that result because you've been thinking this. Right? All of that action stems first from thinking. So we need to shift the thinking first to shift that end result. Second, that number on the scale, it only has meaning once you assign it meaning. And your meaning is going to be clouded by your perceptions of reality, i.e., if you believe you are failing, that's what you're going to see. Again, regardless of whether the real truth is like staring you smack in the face. That number can actually be to somebody else a massive success. It can actually be greater than what most people can achieve, and yet your brain is telling you you're failing and it's not good enough. So really be careful of what you are making that number mean. That number might also be water in transit. It might be water in your body. You might be more hydrated than you were. You might have more food in transit. Because when we go whole food plant-based, we generally need to eat more volume of food. So it means there's a bit more in there. Less calories though, less fat, right? So the number, stop assigning meaning to that number on the scale, right? Go back to your data. Go back to your data. Use your data to make informed decisions. Track your data. Like if you're not seeing progress, like if you're not changing your habits and things are starting to happen really easily, track your data. And I don't just mean track your weight and your measurements and your symptoms or whatever. I mean track your daily habits, your food intake, your movement. You will think you're doing things perfectly. You will think you're doing things perfectly, but your data won't lie. And remember that the scale has no power over you unless you allow it to have power over you. So decide ahead of time how you are going to think, how you are going to feel, and what you are going to do, regardless of what that number says. All right, you can decide ahead of time, okay, if the scale goes up, here's what I'm going to think. Here's how I'm going to feel, and this is what I'm going to do. If that scale goes up, right, I'm going to go back. I'm going to feel determined. I'm going to have empowering thoughts. Okay, let's go and find out why this might have gone up. Let's go back to the data. I'm going to feel empowered. I'm going to feel like I'm in control, and I'm going to go and determined. And I'm going to go back. The action I'm going to take is go back to my data, and I'm going to see if there's any opportunity for change, or is there any reason, looking at my data from last week, is there anything that I did that may have affected this number? If there's not, I'm just going to continue what I'm doing and assume that it's just, maybe a bit of water weight, bit of food. We're not going to panic, right? This is how you take control back of your weight and not let that scale have the power over you to affect your thinking, your feeling, and your actions. And I want you to remember that it is normal to see scale fluctuations. It is normal, especially daily, but even weekly. If any of you have seen Tammy's interview, you'll see her weight loss was like this, but it was going down like that. It was like up, and I mean like 10 pounds in a week, and sometimes 10-pound drops and 5 pounds up, and it was massive. So her big drops wasn't body fat necessarily. She was having interrupted sleep because she was looking after her mother who had dementia, and often her mother needed to get up in the middle of the night and be taken to the bathroom. So it was interrupting her sleep. She was stressed. So a lot of that weight was inflammation going up and down, right? So it is normal. But even my other clients, even like Bev, who's lost, gosh, she's about 40 kilos down, over 80 pounds down now. Even she was up and down, right? And she had a really great mindset about it. She's like, no, I know I've been doing really well this week. I don't know what that weight is, but I'm just going to keep going. And yeah, sure enough, it will come down again. It is normal for that scale to fluctuate. Remember that. Do not weigh daily unless your relationship with that scale is solid. That you're not making bullshit meaning of any of those numbers on the scale, that you're not relying on that number to make you feel like you're succeeding as well. Weigh once a week, weigh on the same day every week. Make it like a regular day and time that you weigh so that your body is in a cycle. I recommend weekly weighing. If you were going to weigh daily, you do it at the same time every morning. You know, whether it's before or after bathroom break, or at least make a note of whether you've been to the bathroom or not. And so you can see the impact of that even on the scale, you know. All the stuff weighs. Or weigh once a week. We generally have a weekly cycle as well. With with our habits, with our food, with our movement, with our socializing and things like that. So make it a rhythmic way of weighing, and remind yourself you cannot put on 1 pound of body fat overnight. You also can't lose it overnight. So remember that in order to store 1 pound of body fat, you are eating 3,500 calories more than your body needs for energy, for function. It's pretty hard to do in one day. Very hard to do. It's also very hard to eat 3,500 calories less in order to drop 1 pound in a day. So most of us don't eat 3,500 calories unless we're super athletes. So it's kind of impossible to drop a pound overnight. If you are dropping a pound overnight, then a lot of it's likely water weight, or maybe last time you weighed you hadn't been to the bathroom and now you have, so there's all sorts of things that you are weighing. You're not necessarily, that those fluctuations on the scale are not necessarily measuring the change in body fat. Okay. And I highly recommend that you use multiple methods to track your success and not just the scale. Okay. Scale is one measure of success. The number is one thing, and it's just a way for us to track a number over a long period of time. That's what we want to do, is track over a long period of time. Not get too fussed about like these little graduations that are going to happen along the way. Look at the big picture. Look at your progress from the beginning too. Don't get too hung up on, what happened last week? I'm up a pound from last week. Where are you from the beginning? Where are you from the beginning when you started tracking your data? Oh, that's right. I'm actually 20 pounds lighter. All right. So I also highly recommend, good morning. Someone's woken up. I also recommend that you measure yourself. This is another way to track data and start to see progress. Take some measurements on your body like bust, waist, and hip. Find a point in your body that does not move. So I always recommend to my clients the nipple line, the belly button line around the waist. Why the belly button? Because as you start to lose weight, your body shape is going to change. The belly button is one constant, hello darling, is one constant point on your body. So the curve of your body will change, and you may end up measuring a different point in your body, which may give you a false result. So you want to try and find a particular point in your body that doesn't move. So the nipple line, the belly button, and then the hip bone. If you find the hip bone that juts out at the front of your hip, and then you measure down either 10 centimeters or it's about 4 inches, I think it is, and measure around that point. That will give you the widest part of your butt, or at least a consistent part around your butt. Give you those measurements. So I call them bust, belly, and butt. You can remember the 3 B's to measure. You can measure all sorts of other parts of your body as well, but the thing is, it's very difficult to get a consistent measurement. And again, This is why I don't want you to rely just on this either. Because even, even though you might take all care to measure in exactly the same place every time, sometimes it can be off because you don't actually, one day you might be measuring in a slightly different place. You might be, might have the tape measure. If you're measuring around your bust, it might be slightly further up your back, which means it goes further up your lats here, which means it gets slightly wider. So just pay attention to all of this as well. But this is another great way to see progress over time. Pay attention to how your clothes feel. Now, this is huge. Like, I'll have clients who say, oh my God, the scale's just not moving, but oh my God, my clothes are fitting so differently, and everyone's commenting on how much weight I'd lost. Happened to one of my clients. My husband's seeing so much change in my body. Right? Her eyes look in the mirror and the number on the scale and tell her she's failing, but other people around her and her clothes are telling her different. So pay attention to all of that as well. Unless your clothes are, growing, clothes are a pretty good indication of what's happening in your body. And I highly recommend that you track your symptoms as well. So sometimes your body is actually doing a detox. It might be healing or doing some repair work on the inside. And, it's probably putting all the energy into doing that rather than dropping body fat. So we don't know the actual timing of when your body is going to drop body fat. It does it, in its own time. We don't have control over that. But tracking your symptoms can tell you that your body is getting healthier on the inside too. And if you can track your symptoms on paper, I've got something for you to do this. Hold on. You can watch your symptoms change and disappear and watch your body getting healthier. So remember, this is about health. Creating a healthy environment in our body in order for our body to feel safe about losing weight. It's not just about, going on a diet and achieving a number on the scale. So track your number, don't assign it meaning, and get focused on healthy food and healthy habits. So the healthy food, a low-fat, whole food, plant-based diet. Now, without needing to be 100% strict all the time, because that feels like it is really a diet, okay? Predominantly low-fat, whole food, plant-based diet, allowing yourself every now and then a little bit of intentional wriggle room. This is what I talk to my clients about, right? We want to allow ourselves a little bit of intentional wriggle room so that it feels sustainable for us long term. This is about long-term success, not about restriction, so we get a number on the scale, because that, my friends, is not sustainable. Okay, so low-fat, whole food, plant-based diet predominantly. Honoring your hunger and satiation cues and eliminating all that overeating that you might be doing. Eating for emotion, eating because you're bored, eating because it's in front of you, eating because there's cues, like you've got flashing signs in front of you, promoting food because there's food, you have the supermarket right there as you're paying for things, whatever it is, all of the external cues that encourage us to eat. Paying attention to your body when it's hungry, honoring hunger, stopping it's satiated, not stuffed, not full, not cleaning your plate because, starving kids wherever in the world, right? Listen to all of those bullshit reasons that our brain is telling us to eat and getting back in touch with what your body wants. If you haven't seen it, I did a training in the group on are you paying attention to your body or your brain? I can't remember exactly what the title is, but this is where we talk about listening to your body and your hunger and satiation cues. Go and have a watch. Habit number 3, staying well hydrated, right? You are going to get more hungry. And you're going to have more sugar cravings if you are dehydrated. Believe me. Stay hydrated. It helps you feel more satiated, but also doesn't ramp up your hunger cues. Getting 7 to 9 hours good quality sleep that aligns with your circadian rhythms, i.e. going down when the sun goes down, going up when the sun comes up, right? A tired body eats more. Your hunger and satiation hormones become skewed. You got more hunger hormones, so you eat more, and your satiation hormones are suppressed, so you don't know when to stop, right? So remember that good quality sleep is going to help you eat the amount of food your body needs instead of encouraging you to overeat. Move your body daily in a way that feels good, and use your muscles too. If you don't use your muscles, they atrophy. I highly recommend that, not just walking and things like that. Walking is brilliant for weight, for body fat loss, helping you feel great, getting you out in nature. But using your muscles too is going to help your body, your metabolism stay high, because our muscles naturally atrophy as we age. So you can be doing and eating exactly the same things, but you find you put on more and more weight as you get older. This is often why. It's because of the natural loss of muscle mass. Just eating protein is not going to preserve that muscle mass. You actually have to use your muscles. So do that. Okay, find a way to use your muscles. You don't have to have a gym membership. You can actually just, do some push-ups on the floor, do some lunges on the floor. You can do all of that at home. Just use your muscles in some way. And last habit, stress management. Right, slowing down the frantic pace of life, right? Stop rushing around. Intentionally deep breathing to calm that nervous system down. Plan out your life so that you're not just reacting all the time, and feel like you're out of control. High levels of cortisol stimulate fat storage in your body. It affects your sleep, which we've just learned increases your hunger, impacts your mood, it impacts your mental health, and it also leads to poor decision making, including your decisions about food. Okay, so let's get out of fat storing stress, like frantic, out of control. Also emotional stress. Learn how to process your emotions effectively rather than just responding and reacting using food. I did another training in this group, allowing your emotions. Go back and listen to that. If you're an emotional eater, that's going to help you process your emotions instead of just reacting with them and using food to calm yourself down. This is going to help you process that emotion out. And calm breathing is actually the most effective way to calm your nervous system down. All right. When your body is filled with healthy food and is hormonally balanced because of our lifestyle choices and all the things that we are doing to improve our health, weight loss becomes so much simpler. We're less about restriction and calorie counting and trying to do all this, like cardio exercise or something that feels hard. Like low impact and some strength training is what you need. This is what we need to create a nice hormonally balanced body so that weight loss becomes easy. All right, and having a good relationship with that scale and yourself and with your food. All right, I hope this was helpful, team. Now, I did promise you a gift if you keep watching this to the end. And that, my friends, is my weight measurement and symptom tracker. And this is what I use with my clients to track their weekly progress. If you would like a copy of this, please just put like a double raised hands or put a hand up, like a little emoji, in the comments. Or please just send me a DM and let me know that you like that, and I will send it to you. If you're watching this video on YouTube, please hit subscribe so that you never miss a new episode. And if you have friends and family struggling with their relationship to the scale and need to hear this message, please share it with them. And now, if your desire to achieve your goal is like an 8, a 9, or a 10 out of 10, and your willingness to make change in your life so that you can achieve your goal is an 8 or a 9 or a 10 out of 10, and you would like support and guidance to change your diet, to change your habits, to change your beliefs and thinking, and what is possible for you, start to shift this belief that you can't do it and start to see the possibility that is just in front of you. Let's talk about how I can support you to achieve your goals, whether that's working together one-on-one or in more of a group setting. Sorry about the meowing. Hey, or you? I think she's getting dementia. This is very sad. Anyway, so I can support you, whether my clients are, achieving great things at the moment, and I know the difference that having support and accountability and guidance from me can really make, or from anybody, whether you decide to work with another coach, that doesn't matter. And I know that many of my clients struggled for a long time before making that commitment to get help. When you commit to getting help, your commitment to yourself to achieving the goal increases exponentially. Like suddenly you have skin in the game and you are so much more focused. You are more likely to achieve the goal. Now, it's not to say you can't achieve it if you're not working with somebody, but what I'm saying is if you're struggling, um, it pays to not stay in the state of struggle. Like if this is important to you, if it's a must for you, get the support you need, all right? You can't see your blind spots, but your coach can, right? If you're doing, say, one-on-one coaching with me, you'd have access to me twice a week in a one-on-one setting and a group setting. If you're doing the group coaching, you have access to me once a week in that group session. And then you also get to bond with other amazing clients of mine from our beautiful supportive community, which is amazing. And you know what? It's so much easier when we do it together. So yeah, if you would like to speak to me about how I can help you, please just type help in the comments or send me a DM and let's chat. And yeah, I'm here to support your goals. I want to see you succeed. I just know that I hold the belief that you can, and I would rather help shift your belief in here that you can't, and show you that it is totally possible for you. All right, my friends, have a wonderful day, and I will see you again next week. Bye.